last weekend when Venerable Chodron was teaching on the 8 verses of thought transformation, she posed this question that I've been continuing to think about. It was something like, why is it helpful to have a positive view of others when navigating a difficult situation? And in thinking like this, I thought about like the difference between navigating a difficult situation with like someone who I consider a friend and navigating a difficult situation with someone who I consider difficult. And when I'm with a friend and seeing that person with a positive view, I'm more likely to listen and really care about their perspectives and concerns. I am less likely to get defensive and feel threatened and then have that response of, kind of the anger, digging in my heels. I need, my needs to get met. I don't really care about what you think, those kinds of attitudes. When I see someone in a positive view, I'm trusting their motivation and their intentions and seeing more clearly that we both want the same thing. We both are wanting happiness, we're wanting a good resolution. And so I'm a lot more open to, working with someone who I'm seeing in a positive light to accomplish that. And a quality that I think is really key and something that I am wanting to develop more of, because when I'm navigating difficult situations, I'm often, thinking that it's the person or the situation which is difficult and not really acknowledging it's the afflictions in my mind. And so I'm wanting to develop this attitude of humility, to not, really have my own self-importance and my own needs and, what I want to have happen, be of the most important, the most importance. And so in just doing a quick search of, it was the kind of humility and respect was what I was looking for online, because I think these two things go really hand in hand. This quote from Ravi Chandra, a psychiatrist and contributor to Greater Good magazine, came up. And he says that no matter how knowledgeable or skillful I might be, there's always more to learn. There are always people with different perspectives, life experiences, knowledge, and skills. There are always different people to cherish, be present with, and learn from. Humility helps us cultivate empathy and relatedness. And we've heard that this attitude of humility is actually really stable self-confidence, whereas the arrogance, which is kind of, I see, the opposite of humility, is a kind of projected self-confidence, like I'm needing to compare myself to others and come out on top to like validate that I am okay. But with humility, it's this, more quiet and very stable confidence that I am okay. I am able to accept myself. I'm able to act in a virtuous way, and in that way have a much deeper self-confidence that doesn't need to constantly kind of prove that I am deserving of respect and praise and admiration. And so, yeah, humility is what's going to be very helpful in difficult situations. And I've been reading a commentary on the inquiry of Agra that's come up in a few of our teachings recently, and it's one of these very early Mahayana sutras that was written at a time when there was Mahayana and solitary realizer, or the Shravaka practitioners, really very intertwined with each other and living together in the same monasteries, practicing together. And the Buddha had instructed the Mahayana Bodhisattva practitioners to develop humility, that they are to show respect to others, no matter what their ordination age, no matter they're older in ordination, no matter they're younger in ordination, to show respect to all other monastics. And to show respect to others, whether they're the Shravakas or Mahayana practitioners. And this is really different from some of the later Mahayana sutras that really, describe that there's a lot of merit in the Bodhisattva path, and this is, far superior to the individual liberation vehicle. But yeah, in this sutra, at this time when there was so much integration between Mahayana and Sravaka practitioners, the Buddha was really emphasizing that it's important to show respect to everyone, show humility towards others. And it also, yeah, there's so many examples. As I was thinking about this BBC, there was just so many examples of what we hear every day, of what we're practicing, where humility is really highlighted as something to develop. And I've been looking at the 8 verses as we've been getting ready for this Chenrei Si retreat. And the one that really stood out to me when thinking about humility, actually all of them really include this aspect of humility. But verse number 2 reads, "Whenever I am with others, I will practice seeing myself as the lowest of all, and from the very depths of my heart, I will respectfully hold others as supreme." And so when we hear teachings on this, we're always reminded, that when we're seeing ourselves as the lowest of all, this doesn't mean that we're like the doormat that other people are stepping on. But thinking about it in terms of humility and having this quiet but stable and this confidence that doesn't need to assert my view, to try and convince others that I am right, to get what I want in every situation. But instead hold others as supreme with respect, because I know that I'm okay. I know that I have flaws and am not perfect. And so instead of trying to pretend that I am and hold up this image or hide my faults, I can actually just open up and hold others with respect and be open to different perspectives and ways of doing things. Also recently in Venerable's Friday night teachings, she went over these 4 austerities, which were, she really highlighted, if you want to live an ascetic life, it's not about living on a hard plank for a bed and not using any covers and having tattered rags and eating sticks and twigs. This isn't necessarily what an ascetic life is. If you want to be an ascetic, practice these 4 austerities of when others are angry with you, don't react with anger, but with fortitude. If others hit you, do not attack them back. If others criticize you, do not criticize them in return. If others embarrass or insult you, do not respond by embarrassing or insulting them. And again, I think this will take a lot of humility to actually practice. Because I know that when others get angry with me, I wanted to, defend myself of why you shouldn't be angry with me. But with some humility to maybe acknowledge how I've contributed to this situation, but also to see that when people are angry and hostile, it's really a reflection of their own mind. It's not a reflection of me and my self-worth, but it's actually a reflection that they are suffering and are in a lot of mental pain. And so instead of reacting with anger myself, if I can react with compassion and really have this fortitude to not harm them back, and the humility to see their value and their perspective and want to understand, then that's going to hopefully decrease their suffering as well. They can feel heard, and they can, through, I think, when someone can hold themselves with this really stable self-confidence, it actually is a model for someone else to see of a way to perhaps emulate in the future, something to look up to. And a lot of, when I've heard of this authentic self-confidence before, it's been kind of phrased in this idea of our self-confidence can come from just the fact that we all have this Buddha nature. We all have the potential for awakening. And I see this kind of related with humility, because when I'm being humble and really sticking with my ethics and my values, I am cultivating my good qualities. I am able to have integrity and not harm others. I am having consideration for others. And it's our good qualities that are really part of our transforming Buddha nature. And I've noticed in my own experience when my ethics have improved, and as they continue to improve, that it does lead to this much deeper sense of self-confidence than I can notice earlier in my life, when I was even more so looking outside myself for this validation. And so I think that this connection between ethical conduct and self-confidence is related to this transforming Buddha nature, which are our virtuous qualities that we have now that are going to come with us all the way to awakening. Because as we realize the ultimate nature of reality and the dependent arising and emptiness of inherent existence of ourselves and others, those qualities aren't negated. They aren't eliminated and interrupted and shown to be totally a misperception, like our anger and our arrogance and hatred and attachment. Those things are eliminated when we really develop our wisdom. But these good qualities that we have that come out when we act ethically are not eliminated. They go on. They stay with our mind and only increase when we're working towards awakening. And also this connection with confidence and the natural Buddha nature, the emptiness of our mind, and the dependent arising of our own minds, the same emptiness of inherent existence as a Buddha's mind. The Buddha has realized it and we have not. But it just leads me to ponder these things, like there's nothing to defend. Like, who is it that wants to assert oneself, when feeling, when in a difficult situation, when I think that I am not going to get what I want, and I'm holding what I want is really important, so I need to get that. But if I come back to this, idea of like, who is it that I'm defending? My body? My mind? Like, what is being threatened? And seeing that what I am looking for to validate me, to this getting what I want, to this perceiving this image that I want to uphold, these things are not so solid. They don't exist the way I think I do. It's just this like projection of what I think is important. So yeah, that one is it's harder for me to connect this natural Buddha nature to developing self-confidence, but I think it is as we develop our wisdom, we actually are going to see ourselves and others more accurately. And from there, just have some more confidence in how we can show up. And so, yeah, humility is a really inspiring trait that I hope to develop more of, so that I can have it more embedded in me as I encounter difficulties with others, and am able to see others in this positive view, really being willing to have this attitude to learn from others and to appreciate others' perspectives and be open to whatever someone else is offering, instead of just what is best for me. And also last night, in the teachings, we went over the dedication that we recite in our posada. And the last line is, liberating sentient beings from suffering is the utmost happiness. And so just thinking that when I am in a difficult situation, likely both of us are suffering because we're both, experiencing some anger and some frustration and some fear. And so this attitude of humility and putting what I want as not the most important thing, but actually putting the relationship as more important, putting listening and kindness and consideration as more important. This is going to contribute to the alleviation of suffering of myself in that moment, hopefully the other person, because we can come to a win-win situation or something that we can both live with. And so through even this small alleviation of suffering, we're then going to be creating the causes for the utmost happiness. And So we can all, hopefully be inspired by this quality of humility, that it can help us keep a balanced mind when navigating difficult situations, and lead to a more harmonious relationship with others, and eventually the happiness of each and every sentient being.